Hello, everyone. It's Lori Staley, Addicted Stamper with Stampin' Up, and it is Tuesday night at 8 p.m., so it is time for our Tuesday Night Live. And I'm calling it Technique Tuesday tonight because I have a couple of cool techniques to share with you. So I'm going to let you hop on. I'm going to see if I can zoom in at all. I thought I was zoomed in, but apparently, no, my phone did something and now I'm not. Okay, so I won't mess with it because I might make you seasick. I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen the next time, but yeah. All right, I'm going to give you just a minute or two to find me and hop on, and then we'll get started. Hopefully you had a good day. It started out a beautiful day here in South Central Pennsylvania, and then it got really hot and muggy. Really hot and muggy. So remember, when you hop on, to say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I got lots of things to share with you, and then we're going to hop right into our project tonight. Hey, Donna, you found me. Awesome. Awesome that you found me. That's great. So glad to see you. Hey, Shirley. Hello, hello. Shirley, did you get my email the other day about In Color Club? Okay. Well, we're going to get started here in just a beat because I do have quite a few things to share with you. Oh, good. Good. Every time, Donna, I see the name of where you're from, I think of Grantville, which is just like an hour or so up the road from me, but it's not Grantville. Hi, Connie. Good to see you. Welcome, ladies. Well, thank you for hopping on and joining me. And if you are coming in now, please make sure you say hi. Tell us where you're watching from. We're going to go ahead and get started. These were the cards we made last Tuesday with the fabulous Trees for Sale stamp set that's in the new mini catalog and the tree lot dies. And I want to remind everyone, because we've already lost one of our products from Celebration. It's sold out, and that was the fabulous envelopes and cards. The Pool Party and Soft Succulent cards and envelopes is gone. And remember, Celebration items are while supplies last only. So it is gone. Excuse me, it is gone. We won't be getting any more of those in. So if there is something in here that you really desperately want, you want to make sure you get them, you definitely want to get your orders in, because I can't promise you how long things will last. I can't believe that something's already gone, but they were very popular. And the sad part is I literally just designed and my girlfriend cut for me today one of my club projects for August with those. How about that? Oh my goodness. Hi, Betty. So yeah, lots of fun, great things in here. Lots of this beautiful designer series gold and silver paper. Of course, this one we've played with over on my Facebook page, and I love the Wonderful World. That's the stamp set and the 12 by 12 pack of paper. There's the tree lot dies. Literally, I love pairing it with the Trees for Sale stamp set, but you can create with just those dies. So this is $100 required purchase, but seriously, the camper, the puppy dog, all of that. And then of course the trees you can layer, you don't need to stamp. So you can absolutely create just with that. Hi, Karen. So anyway, yes, while supplies last, cards and envelopes are already gone. Doesn't mean there won't be a possible after party, virtual after party for Celebration over on my Facebook page. And I might have a pack or two of them. I have to dig and see what I ordered. But they are gone. You are not able to add them to your orders any longer. So while supplies last is the key word for Celebration. Okay, so let's talk about the cards. These were the cards that we did, as I said. And the winner of these is Karen Messinger. So Karen, congratulations. I have your Just cards here for you to pick up. So if it's okay, I'll just put these with those. And you can let me know when you want to stop by and grab them. Okay. All right, so that is the giveaway for last week. Remember, comment, like, make sure you're subscribed, give me those thumbs ups, hit the notification bells. and share the video, and then you'll be entered into the drawing for the projects we make tonight. Okay, I also want to remind you that the Sweet Sunflowers Paper Pumpkin Kit is coming. This is August's kit, and it is gorgeous. The images are all watercolored. I think we're going to get some gold honeycombs in there, and there's actually two ink spots in this one. So that's pretty cool. So you can sign up for Paper Pumpkin. I'll drop a link in the description below after the video, so you can sign up for Paper Pumpkin and grab that August kit, because I think it's going to be a really, really fabulous one, right? Okay, what else? Oh, let me show you these, right? These are the just cards for July. You earn these cards with a minimum $30 purchase on my website. That's a product purchase before shipping and tax. Using the monthly host code. There's new card kits every month. There's always 5 kits at this point. And you earn them free along with a full color step-by-step PDF. If you don't want to place the order, you have another demonstrator you're working with, but you'd like to get these cards, the class is $15. All the supplies are shipped. All the die cutting is done. The embossing where we can. Everything is all done for you. You just have to supply your adhesive, your inks, and your stamps. And as you can see, most of these just require a greeting, right? This guy, I couldn't resist playing with the gnomes. I am a gnome fanatic. So, yeah. So you can grab those either with purchasing the class or putting that minimum $30 product order. And what else do I want to tell you? I'm going back to in-person classes. So I've been doing my clubs in person, and I did start up my Just Cards in-person class if you're local to me, but I haven't done any others. Well, I'm going back. For July, we're going to do a Christmas Stamp-A-Stack. It's going to be a mini stack. These are the projects that we're going to be making. You're going to make 3 of each for a total of 12 Christmas cards with envelopes. And it's going to be the last weekend in July. I have one thing I have to check to see if I can do it on Saturday or Sunday. I'm hoping to know that before the weekend so I can get the registration out. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have Christmas music. There'll be a little treat at your spot. But you do need to reserve your spot because space is limited since we do these at my home. So make sure you watch for that to come out. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, in the description below, there'll be a link for you to click on that and make sure that you're getting all the news as soon as you possibly can from me. Okay. All right. I think that is everything I had to share with you today. Let me talk about this beautiful product suite. So this is Rustic Harvest. I am a fall fanatic, just like I'm a gnome fanatic, and it is beautiful. I've been playing with it. Again, if you're a subscriber, you might see a Freebie Friday coming out with that soon. But it is the stamps, the dies, this beautiful designer series paper. And then they brought back the 12 by 12 black cardstock. So if you're a scrapbooker, it's perfect for you. If you're a card maker, it's great because we can do different kinds of treat boxes with 12 by 12, or we can cut it down to use it for our cards, right? And then you've got some leaf labels and some gems there, as well as this fabulous embossing kit. The tray, the brush, the reverse tweezers, and the embossing buddy. So this was brilliant that Stampin' Up! Brought this all back together. I love that they did that. I don't know that they're going to carry it over. So if you want to grab it, you make sure you grab it while this catalog is active, which it's good through December. So you have a little bit of time. But that's the suite of products. We are going to play with the designer series papers tonight. And we're not actually playing with that particular stamp set. So per your requests, let me show you what we're going to do. So it's Technique Tuesday, if you saw the description of the video, and that's because we are going to do a little bit of watercoloring with our watercolor pencils. Did you know July is Worldwide Watercoloring Month? It is. So I'm going to sneak in some watercoloring here and there in all of my, well, not all, but in a lot of my different videos that I do. We're going to do some watercoloring tonight with the Nature's Harvest image here. Here is our beautiful designer papers from that product suite that I just showed you. And then it opens up like this. Okay. And this is called Twisted Ribbon. If you follow me on Facebook, you may have seen me do it over there, but we're going to do it here again tonight. And then we're going to add that watercoloring on. And just so you know, this is not our watercolor paper. We have the cold pressed heavyweight watercolor paper, which is fabulous, but I also like to watercolor on our Shimmery White cardstock. And that's one of our specialty cardstocks. So in addition to the watercoloring, and I know the camera doesn't pick it up, you can really see it in person. That paper has actually got a shimmer to it, like a little glittery, smooth, but the shimmer is built into the paper. So lots of fun, but it's a very nice, smooth paper. So it works beautifully for watercoloring. Okay. Enough chit chat. There's always so much chit chat, right? Let's get to the project. Okay, let's do that. So I just have a piece of Mossy Meadow, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then I cut 2 1/8 inch off of the front flap. And I will put the measurements for the project below after the video is over. Can't do it ahead of time. I haven't figured a way out to do that, and I really don't think there is a way. But I always go back and update it. And then here's a piece of that fabulous DSP. All the back patterns are black and white, and then the colors are all on one side as well. And we could layer that right on there with just the Mossy Meadow, but I wanted it to pop a little bit more. So I have a piece just of basic white that we're going to mount it to. It picks up the pattern in there and the highlights in the pumpkins and the squash. And let's grab my seal. You love to watercolor, Shirley? Awesome. What's your favorite watercoloring medium? Because, you know, you can watercolor with all kinds of things. So do you like using the ink pads? Do you like using pencils, crayons? What's your favorite? You can use the reinkers. What is your favorite watercolor medium? I'll comment down there. And then this is going to go on our front flap. Okay, so I'm going to lay that aside for a minute. I'm going to bring in a 2 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white. And I'm going to grab a pencil and a ruler. So to do the twisted ribbon technique, isn't that cute? I just love that. We're going to take this piece, put it on its side, and we're going to mark it along the side at every 3/4 of an inch. Now, if I had my regular grid paper here, it would be fabulous because I could just line it right up on the grid paper and do this. But I forgot to swap out my pad here tonight. So we're going to use the ruler. And again, every 3/4, right? So 3/4, I'm going to try to keep it straight. 1 1/2, excuse me, 2 1/4, 3, and I'm just making a little pencil mark, 3 3/4, 4 1/2, and then of course that last section is 3/4 of an inch because it ends at 5 1/4. We're going to flip it around and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Ah, okay. Well, I'm going to show you the pencils tonight. Hey, Carol Deegan, how are you? How's the whole boot, non-boot situation? 3/4 of an inch, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, 3, 3 3/4, 4 1/2. Okay, so just those little pencil marks. I don't even have to worry about erasing them later because we're going to cover them up. Sorry. And then I have some strips of designer series paper. This is also, again, from that same pack of paper. There you can see one of the black and white patterns. And then here's another one of the black and white patterns. And those leaves would be gorgeous to color with your blends or your markers. Oh, okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So these are 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/2. You could probably get away with 3 1/4, but I don't like to tempt fate. And I have 2 different patterns, as you can see, crushed curry and Cajun Craze. The first thing you want to do is decide which pattern do you want on top. which pattern do you want to see at the top of your design? I'm choosing the crushed curry for this. I think the Cajun Craze will get lost with the background behind the flowers. So we're going to start with the Cajun Craze. And actually, let me work from this angle, I think. Right. So all I'm doing is lining up the corner and bringing it down to the first pencil mark. And I don't know if you can see the pencil marks because I made them kind of light, but that first angle, and we're going to do it like this, okay? Right to that. And then I need my seal. Weird. Well, you know what? Let's lay them out first just to make sure I don't, you know, get lost in my path down here. So there's that one. I'm sorry, guys. I have something in my throat. I don't know what it is. I really, truly don't. And then the next one. And then the next one. I do want to try to make sure that they're centered, right? So that I have ends sticking out on both sides. And then the last one. And it's going to come down to that corner again. Okay. So that looks pretty good. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to go the opposite direction. So up to the corner with this one and so forth and so on. But let's get the Cajun Craze taped down, shall we? So we are going to the pencil mark and to the pencil mark right there. From that pencil mark to that pencil mark, the bottom edge is lining up. Okay. Just like that. So we're working with the bottom color and we're lining the bottom edge up with those pencil marks. Again, making sure that I have enough extended over and beyond. Whoops. And we'll just come back at the end and trim that off. And if you have a silicone pad handy, I don't. Mine seemed to have walked off today while I was working with it. I hate when that happens. I do. It's good to lay that down because we are using regular seal here to mount this. So there we have that. Now we're going to come back and do the opposite and work our way down with our. Does this make sense what I'm showing you? Are you following me? If you have questions, ask me. I'll try to catch them. And then our last one, and I'm going to trim this one off because I need to see that corner to get that one on there the way I want it. So let me do that. Let me trim this corner off first, and then we'll go back and tape those down. Exposing the corners helps you layer the second pattern down. So I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to actually trim it off down here too, just because it'll make it easier for us. And I'll do the same thing at the top. I don't know about you. I really like the way this looks. And I have a couple other ones to show you at the end, so don't go anywhere. That I did. We did one of these in the team meeting that I had on July 1st. We did a Christmas one, so I have that one to share with you. Okay, so now, again, I'm going corner to corner. Oops. Just like that. Okay. Or let's just trim this all off. It's making me a little nuts. We'll get these all out of the way. But the first time I saw this, I was like, I don't quite know how they did that. But once you've done it once, it becomes very easy. All right, so that is our pattern going this way. Now we're going to do our pattern going this way. Okay. Sorry. Oh, I got a frog or something in my throat tonight. So I'm just lining up the tips. Just like that. And the nice thing is when we do these on our videos, you guys can, you know, come back and watch it when you're actually making the card and pause the video and rewatch it if you need to. And our last one. So when I was doing the bottom, I was lining the bottom edge up here. If you've noticed, I'm lining the top edge up, right? At the points. So that might help you too as you're doing it. Ooh, that one didn't stick. It stuck to the paper. Didn't stick to where I wanted it to stick to. All right, let's get that one on here. Right there. And then the top edge over here. Just like that. And then we'll trim that down. And you end up with all these little pieces that you just put into the trash can because they're tacky and they stick to things that you don't want them to stick to necessarily. So once we have this trimmed up, just like that, how cute is that? Then I have our regular 4 by 5¼ piece of basic white that's going to go on the inside of our card. And I'm just going to go ahead and mount this. This one slid just a little bit. So a little bit of that Cajun is showing. And we'll line that up right with the edge, top, bottom, and side. Okay. And then I can mount this to the inside of the card. So that is technique number 1. That is called the twisted ribbon technique. I love it. It's a great way to use up your scraps of designer series paper because again, it's only 3/4 of an inch wide and you can get away with 3¼ versus 3½. I just use 3½ because it gives me a comfort level to make sure I'm not going to find myself too short. And I want to line this up so that when I fold the card closed, it's lining up right with that edge. So there we have that. And that in and of itself is pretty. You could just put a greeting down here on a label or a punch and it would be perfect, right? Okay, so we're going to come in here now. There's the piece of Cajun Craze. We're going to lay this aside and we are going to grab a piece of that shimmery white. It's a little bit thicker than our regular basic cardstock, basic white cardstock. And that's great because it holds up to the water a little bit better. When you use watercoloring, okay? So we color so much with blends, or at least I do, and you always see me use Memento. And the reason for that is Memento is a water-based ink, and we're coloring with an alcohol-based marker. So opposites, right? Well, it's the same thing when you watercolor. When you watercolor, you want a solvent-based ink, such as StazOn, so that it doesn't bleed when you start to apply the water. Okay. Oh, that's all good news, Carol. I mean, not that you have to stay on the scooter for a while, but that's good news. So stays on when you're watercoloring because you're applying water. Memento when you're coloring with the alcohol markers. I made this piece of shimmery white a little bigger than it needs to be because I want to anchor it onto my Stamparatus. And if you've never seen the Stamparatus before, or you missing out. This is the most fabulous stamp positioning tool I think that exists. I don't say that just because I had an opportunity to help design it either, but it really is. It comes with 2 plates. So you have 4 sides that you can mount your stamps on and do your 2-step stamping. I'm using it because I want to make sure I get a nice black impression with this stamp. And truthfully, I tried stamping it twice without it. And then I said, let's just get the Stamparatus out. So I really should just leave the Stamparatus sit on my table. That would be a great idea, but I don't. I always put it away. I'm going to grab just a stamp case here. I always like to put something under my plate so it's nice and flat. If you noticed, when there's nothing under it, it kind of goes down at a slant. And when you ink up your image, you want to make sure you have a nice flat surface to apply the ink, right? Then you run less of a risk. I won't say you still can't do it, but you run less of a risk of getting ink on your plate, which potentially could transfer to your cardstock. So I am taking my ink pad to my stamp. It looks nice and good and inked up for me. The other thing I'll tell you about Stays On is it has this little plastic cap on the inside. Don't throw that away. That helps to keep the ink pad moist. It keeps it prevents it from drying out. I don't really know because I don't see one in there. Usually the lid comes off and that stays behind. I usually put a dimensional between the plastic piece and the lid so that when I pull it, it both comes off. But tonight it's both coming off. All night's a little lonesome. So, okay. And there is a special cleaner for Stays On, our Stays On cleaner. And it is recommended because it will get most of, if not all of the Stays On ink off. Instead of hurting my hands, let me grab my handy dandy whiteboard eraser. This is great, especially if you have any arthritis in your hands, to just take across your image and apply even pressure, okay? And the best thing is, if I didn't get the image I wanted, I just re-ink it and stamp it again. It is helpful when making multiples. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's why we asked for 2 plates when we were designing it, because we knew as much 2-step stamping as we do in this world, and just wanting to have the option to switch plates in and out without having to pull your stamps off, right? That's a bonus and a time saver. So I will clean that with my Stays On cleaner once I'm off tonight. So I'm just going to close this up and lay it aside. And then I'm going to bring this image back in. As I said, I made it a little bit longer than I needed it. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer now that I've got it inked up and stamped, and we will trim that off so that it will fit on our Cajun Craze layer. So this layer is 4 1/4. So we're going to trim this off at 4 1/8. Having that extra space at the top that I was able to put the magnet on to hold the cardstock in place ensures that if I hadn't got a good stamped clean image, I could have just re-inked and stamped again because it hadn't shifted on me. Okay, so there is our flowers. Now I'm going to bring in our tools, okay? So we have 2 sets of watercolor pencils. Both have different colors in them, which is fabulous. We don't have all of our colors in the watercolor pencils, but you do get a nice assortment. This one has 13 in it, and this one has 10. So there's 23 of our colors available in the watercolor pencils. Obviously, I have both sets. The water brushes are fabulous. Oh my goodness, it's 101. That's crazy. So you have 3 different water brushes, 3 different sizes. One's a nice big brush tip. that you can do a watercolor wash background with. You want to be very careful because I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I caught one of my bristles. And so now it's never going to go back into the cap. So you definitely want to make sure when you're putting this away that you're getting all the bristles inside. And then you have this nice, little bit thicker, longer tip. Okay. And then we have this one, which is the skinnier one. This is the one that I prefer to use. I think it gives me more control, especially right now when I'm struggling from a visual perspective. So I know you'll all forgive me if I get outside the line. I'm going to do my best. But the thing I love about this is that, and it twists the opposite direction than you think. So you're going left. You fill that, you take that to the sink, you fill it up with water. There's a line right there. So it tells you exactly how far to fill it. And then you put it back on. And then there is a place on the barrel that says push. So guess what? You push and you get your water flowing. Okay. Because you want your brush to be fairly wet as you're watercoloring. I love the water brushes too. They're fabulous. They are fabulous. So I'm going to bring in the colors, and I cheated and pulled them out of the boxes beforehand, so you didn't have to see me struggle to find them. So the one thing that I wanted, because as you can see for our card, we're using Mossy Meadow. We don't have a Mossy Meadow watercolor pencil. What am I going to do? Well, guess what? We do have a basic gray. So I took the basic gray, and I'm just coloring with the pencils right now. I'm adding that color all over what I want to turn green. And I know you're going, but Lori, you're using basic gray. I am. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So you can absolutely use the watercolor pencils just as colored pencils, right? You wouldn't have to do anything else. They color your images beautifully. You can also use them to ground your images, you know, use them to put some dark shading under your images. All right, I think that looks good. And then we have Old Olive. Well, Old Olive doesn't match Mossy Meadow either by any stretch of the imagination. But now I'm going to come back over my basic gray and add Old Olive. And then we're going to bring in our water brushes. So don't be afraid to layer your pencils, right? If there's a color that you're trying to achieve, whether it be an actual Stampin' Up color or a color you see in nature or in design, in fashion, wherever you see the color, you can identify what the base of the color is. Like for me in Mossy Meadow, I knew that the base was kind of a gray brown. And I thought, all right, I don't have a Mossy Meadow pencil, but I have a basic gray pencil. And now I'll bring in the water brush, make sure it's still, and just smooth that out and blend those two colors together just a little bit. And suddenly, it's easier to see, I think, on the leaves than on the stems, that we now have a beautiful Mossy Meadow color. And I think with the assortment of colors that we have between the two packs, you could create quite a few additional shades and or colors to complement whatever the piece is that you're working on. So I'm just going to go over it all just to make sure that I've got that blend happening. I don't have a lot of basic gray standing out against something else, but that absolutely looks like Mossy Meadow. Okay. All right. So now we're going to work on the flower portions themselves. And my centers are going to be Cajun Craze. Okay. So I'm going to take the Cajun Craze around the outside of the flower head, if you will. And the harder you press, of course, the more pigment you're going to lay down. But if you press too hard and your pencils are too sharp, they will break. So you don't want them to be real sharp, just sharp enough that you can get into the spaces that you have to add your color. I'm going to just run that water run through there again to make sure I cleared it out. And we're going to smooth this out. We want this to be our highlight. Now this one, the black's a little bit darker, so this isn't going to be quite as much of a highlight, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come back in and I have the early espresso marker, and I'm going to do the base of the flower, which is going to give me a little bit more highlight with the Cajun Craze. So hopefully that shows up on camera, how that made that pop just a little bit more in the orange, right? Okay, so now we're going to add crushed curry to all the petals on the flowers. And I'll try to do this quickly because there's nothing worse than watching somebody color online, right? Although hopefully you got a new idea there with layering the colors to create other colors. And this again, right now I'm just using it as a colored pencil. I could be doing, outline and drawing the color in from the sides. That way you get a darker color on the outside of the petal and then lighter on the inside. But we're actually going to come back and add an additional color to our petals. So I do want the crushed curry to be all over the petals. And then I'll be sharing those two other ones that I did for you. I did one, some of you probably saw me do this, the twisted ribbon technique. I didn't do the watercolor technique, but the twisted ribbon technique I did do earlier a few weeks ago over on my Facebook page. So I have that one and I have the one we did at our team meeting to share with you as well. Okay, so we've been coloring with the pencils. We've layered the pencils. Let me show you one more fun technique with the pencils. And that is to literally use it as paint. So I am taking my brush tip, and I should have run water to make sure it was clear. I'm going to take my brush tip onto the tip. Oh, do you find it's okay? Good. Onto the tip of my pencil and pick up my color. Okay. And then I am going to drag that color down through. And the nice thing about this particular stamp is the artist, the designer, gave us the detail lines. So I'm staying true to those detail lines to add in just a little bit of pumpkin pie with that crushed curry background, if you will. These look like fall colors to me. And of course, our designer series paper definitely is reminiscent of fall. Oops. That's the thing. My depth perception is so off right now. And you want a little bit of water running, but not flooding, because otherwise it'll just bleed all together on you. And I am trying to make sure that some of that yellow stays evident. And then over here, we're just going to add some, and maybe a little bit more because the purple, yeah, this is purple, guys. Did you know that? The pumpkin pie is under the base of the leaf kind of here, or the petal. So we're going to make that just a little bit more orange than we did everything else. Come down here and add some in down here as well. And I'm going to come back because it looks to me like we've got some shading to do right here, right? So we're just going to put a little bit of that Cajun Craze in. And then I always like to take the water brush over it just to smooth out any lines that the pencil itself may have created. Not necessary to bleed it in so much, just a little bit to add that definition there. What do you think? Karen, well, thank you. I'll tell you, it's a challenge some days. Okay. All right. So there is our watercolor image. I love it. Hopefully you do too. By the way, that image came from Nature's Harvest. This is in the annual catalog. It's a carryover. It has this image that we use. It has this cute little image. It has this great kind of background splashy image, and then all kinds of little greetings in it. So this is one of my favorite fall sets that we've had. And I'm going to grab my thank you. My thank you comes from Shaded Sun. That's another one of my favorite sets. That's what I use to prop up my Stamparatus plate. And I'm going to flip that around. Hopefully I can get this straight on here. Maybe I'm not going to flip that around. This is where you really don't want to mess it up if you've done all that beautiful watercoloring, right? We're going to hope, because truthfully, we see it. I think we did all right. I think we did all right. Hi, Jen. That's going to get mounted on here. And then we're going to wrap some linen thread around. So do you have the watercolor pencils? Anybody? Do you use the watercolor pencils? And did I help you think about a different way to use the watercolor pencils tonight? There's our image. Bring in my linen thread. Hi, Debbie. Yes, replays are a wonderful thing, aren't they? Oh my goodness, what would we do without them? So we're going to add a little twine down here. Straight would be good, huh? There we go. And trim that off. Back in with my seal and make sure those ends don't go anywhere on me. Seal doesn't always like going over ribbon. Sometimes you have to give it a little encouragement. Oh no, you know what I did? I wasn't supposed to do that. Because you don't want to put adhesive all over that. All right, let me grab my adhesive eraser. Oh, well, try them again. Try them again. I find sometimes things that I didn't necessarily enjoy when I tried them the first time, when I go back now, I really do like playing with them. You know what, guys? We're just going to cut another piece of Cajun Craze because that would be crazy to try to erase all that. So let's do this. We're going to take that twine off. Ooh, we're going to, hello. We're going to take that twine off and we're going to cut another piece. And I was going to try to pull this off, but I'm thinking I'm going to let it alone. And I'm just going to make it the exact same size so that we cover up the adhesive. So that is 2.5 by 4 1/4. There is always a way to fix your blues. There's never an error or a mistake. It is an opportunity for creativity. And if you've ever stamped with me in person, you've heard me say that. multiple times probably. So look, it's like it never happened. So now here's my trick for wrapping that twine. We're going to just put the adhesive on the side that we are in fact going to mount. We're going to come back and grab our linen thread again, because I'm not sure I have enough of it if I go the other way. And we're going to wrap it and adhere it just on this one side. So let's drop that just a little bit. That looks good. I did it 3 times. Okay, around the front. I'm crooked again, so at least I'm consistent. And then I'm just going to bring it over and tack it down over here. Now, if you really want to be super conservative, you could cut 3 strips. Well, actually for this you couldn't, because we're only putting adhesive on this side. So now let's add our adhesive over here only. And bring in our card that we created tonight. And I want to make sure all of that beautiful interlock, if you will, shows. So I'm putting it a little more than halfway on the front flap. And you can center it. And then I'm going to flip it over. There you go. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Like I said, I stamped that image 3 times today before I went, would you get the stamparatus out? All right. We've got a little bow here. I did a double bow. So I just folded the piece of linen thread in half, tied the bow, and then cut it apart, or cut the ends off. Grab a glue dot. I think my hope that they would go back and that maybe there was a mistake when they manufactured the glue dots and put them on the opposite side of the paper, that would change. But I think I'm on my 2nd or 3rd box since then, and that hasn't happened. So there's our bow, and then we just needed a little bit more bling, right? So we grabbed some beautiful brushed brass butterflies. Every time I say it, it's a tongue twister. And we're gonna pick up a couple of those little guys. Put one there. Oops. Put one up here, maybe. I don't think his glue came off with him. Oh, it did. It's just on the opposite side. There we go. And one down here. I love that we have the 2 sizes of these, right? Because sometimes you just need a little guy to fill a tiny space. And there you go. That is our Technique Tuesday special edition with a couple watercoloring techniques for you with the watercolor pencils and that twisted ribbon. Now, let me grab the other 2 cards and show you. But I love fall. It's my favorite time of the year. My husband and I got married in the fall, and I love the colors. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Here's the one I did on my Facebook Live that you can go back and check out if you want to. This is the lovely linen designer series paper. So pretty. The new punch. And this is the in color dots, and then the quarter foil embossing folder behind it. And then I leave them blank inside, thinking of you, thank yous. And then this is the one we did at the team meeting. This one's so cute. I twisted it around and did it across the bottom. Okay. I did the wintry pine embossing folder at the top. And then again, that cute little punch. And these are the cute little bells that are in the mini catalog. And I just popped that on there with a glue dot. That little greeting is a straight line greeting. And I can't remember if I've shown you guys how to do that or not, but let me grab something here and show you how I did that. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I forgot when we were working with StazOn earlier, is StazOn is not recommended for your photopolymer stamps, and certainly not the StazOn cleaner, because it is a solvent-based ink. it will eventually eat your photopolymer stamps. So when you do use StazOn, it's best to use your red rubber. Okay. Hey, Corinne. So this is a straight line photopolymer stamp. You can't do this with the red rubber stamps, but you can do it with photopolymer. And all I do to get it into more of a curvature, right, is when I am putting it on the block, I am bending it to my will, if you want to, and giving it that curve. That allows it to follow the shape of our circle. When in fact, if I allow the stamp to be just what it normally is, which is straight line, it would not, or it would just fit on there, just fit on there. So you could do a straight line, but I liked the curve. I liked it following not only the curve of the circle that I put it on, but also the curve of the layer behind it. And that it's just that easy. You just bend it and put it on the block. It will only bend so far. It's not like you can, bend it in two or anything, but you can manipulate the shape of your photopolymer stamps as well. All right, guys, that is all I have for you tonight. Hopefully I gave you a tip or two that you didn't know, and hopefully you enjoyed that. And thank you so much for watching. Remember, like, love, share, give me a thumbs up, leave me comments. Even if you're watching after the fact, make sure to comment, because everybody gets entered into the drawing for the project that I made tonight. And I'll be back live with you on my Facebook page Thursday morning at 10 for coffee and cards. And then Sunday night at 8 for Sunday stamping with Lori. And then I'll be back here on Tuesday. So check me out in all locations, and I appreciate your time and hanging out with you tonight. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see some of you on Thursday. Take care. Bye, guys.